Hi everyone, this is me and Ricardo again, continuing to work on a decentralized social media platform that we call Tarafu. It's meant to deproductize humanity. And the last time, Ricardo and I worked a little bit on a broker, and that broker would allow us to kind of what was the purpose of our broker, Ricardo? We were basically trying to um, uh,
Delete a post.
yeah, delete a post. And this time today, we're gonna try to take this a little bit further and start working with the foundation service. The foundation service is basically what's gonna help us to kind of, start building on top of that. We want to allow people when they write a post and when they try to delete a post, we actually want to delete it physically from our system. We don't want to actually keep any data there whatsoever. So right. So if that's the case, then let's go ahead and let me just pull out the code here real quick. So here is Tarafu core. Here we go. So I'm gonna start by, just writing in a failing test. This is the pair programming kind of style. So I'm gonna write a failing test, and then you're gonna take it to the next level, try to make it pass, and we're gonna go back and forth like that until we're done with the whole thing. And don't worry, this process itself, like, this is the best way engineers could communicate with each other if they trying to kind of share knowledge, right? This whole let me give you a couple of hours of my time and you go figure it out and read documentation for 2 3 weeks, not knowing which is which. I don't like that. I don't like that style. It's kind of a sad style. Okay, so let's see how we did this. Let's go into the foundation. Okay, so this is iStorage broker. So we did delete post, right? And this delete post here has only one reference, which is the delete post. So now we're gonna build remove post. Now bear with me here on this one because this one is important. The language changes from one realm to the other. Like if you're in the brokers, you're speaking the language of the technology that you're talking to. So we say select all, we say insert, we say delete. If you go to the foundation service, the language changes a little bit. The realm has a different way of expressing that. So it doesn't say really insert, it says add. It doesn't say select by ID, it says retrieve by ID. And for the delete, it will say remove by ID. Okay, so let me create here a new branch. So let's go here, so users, so Habib, and then we're gonna say foundations, right? And then so this is foundations. I know you can't see this dialog, but we basically say users and then username, the username that you use to log into GitHub, and then you say foundations, and then we want to say post remove. So basically the action, sorry, the entity and then the action, the entity and then the action. So it goes something like this. You say users and then your username, right? And then the type of the activity, and then the entity, and then the action. What that means is that I can go here and say Hassan, Habib like this, and then I say foundations,
Mm,
right? And then I say post like this, and then I say remove, right?
yeah.
This way, it's a lot easier to search through branches. It's a lot easier to look through existing branches instead of people going and doing things like whip. What is whip? What does it do? I have no idea what is that. Or when people do something like feet, new post, what? Delete, remove, what are you doing, right? So we need standardization will help us kind of build better software this way. Okay, so now I owe you a failing test. How this works basically when you're in a pair programming session, I write a failing test and then you make it pass, and then you're gonna write a failing test and then I will make it pass. It's ping pong like that.
Mm,
And then I write a failing test and then you make it pass and so on and so forth. So let me share the screen here again. Back to the screen and let's see if we can make this work. Okay, so here's our post service. I'm gonna start here with the interface, and I'm gonna go here. So here we follow the CRUD operation order. So create goes first, and then retrieve, and then update, and then delete. We don't have update, but we have delete today. So I'm just gonna go and say the value task post, right? And I'm gonna go here and say remove post by ID async. Okay, so all I need to pass here is the post ID, right? That's post ID like this. Okay, perfect. Let's do that. And then I'm gonna go into the implementation piece. I'm gonna do collapse this a little bit, and I'm gonna go here and say, okay, I need a async value task post. Let me zoom in a little bit just so people on their phones can see. Post, and then this is remove post by ID async. There is a post ID. Okay, there is the first part. This is post by ID, and then I'm gonna go here and say throw new not implemented exception. So basically, this guy here is stuck because there's no implementation. Okay, I'm gonna go back in down here into the tests area, and I'm gonna create a new logic file. So if every single, so there's either logic or validations or exceptions. That's basically you handling everything that the service. This is the tri nature of every service. It's either doing logic or doing validation, or basically mapping exception or throwing exceptions. So in here, I'm gonna say logic, and I'm gonna say remove by ID like this. So this is another partial file,
So they would
right?
have like the same kind of pattern, like the category and the action.
Yeah, particularly. So basically you have
Okay.
the service entity and then you have the type kind of and then the action. Exactly. Okay,
Okay.
so let me go down. Yeah. So let's go here and say, okay, this is public async task. There's my task. And then I'm gonna go here and say should remove post by ID async. So that's my happy path. Every test is a given when then. So we break every test into another three categories. You'll see threes and threes and threes as we go with every single thing that we build. You'll see validation, processing, integration. And then you also see validations, exceptions, and logic. You'll see threes and threes and threes as we go. It's very interesting pattern. So okay, I want a random post. First of all, I want an ID, right? So let's say this is, random ID. So GUID.new GUID. And then I'm gonna go here and say input post ID, right? So that's my random ID right here. And I also want a post, right? Some random post. So I'm gonna go here and say random post, right? And then create random post. Okay, great. What is this random post? That's the post that's gonna come from the database, right? So I'm gonna go here and say this is my random post in here, right? And then I want to go here and say expected input post, right? So that's from storage post. And then at the very end, I'm gonna go and say deleted post, right? Which is gonna be very similar to expected input post. And then the last one here is post expected post, which is from the deleted post. And I'm gonna do in here deep clone, and that's the one that you and I talked about last time when we said, what if they modified the content, of the element on the fly? So we want to make sure what comes from the other end at the very, very end is a complete match to what we originally worked with. So now what do I need to do? I need to go here and say, this is my storage broker mock setup broker.select post by ID, and then we passed in that input ID. Really important in here. And then it'll say returns async storage post. See that, a lot of people ask me, they said, well, why don't you just use the same one across all? Because the name here doesn't flow right with the expression that you're making. Check this.
Hmm.
This dot storage broker mock dot setup broker. Check this out, broker. And then I'm gonna go here and say delete post async, and then this is my expected input post, which is my guy that will go and say returns async deleted post. Look.
Okay. So that's why you called it expected input. Yeah,
Yep.
because I it's kind of confused with the expected input and expected post, but yeah, I'm seeing that right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing right now that's really, 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 really important. Okay, so this is the deal, right? And then let's go here and say, okay, then on here I say actual post. Await this dot service, remove post by ID, and that's my input post ID. So I'm passing in the input post ID to this service, and I'm going and say, let me minimize this code a little bit. Let me pull it down like this. Yeah, that's much better. Just a little rule for you. It's really nice to keep your code somewhat within the realm of the header of your method. It makes your code much readable and
Yeah.
easier to kind of digest. Okay, so this is why I break things. But there's rules for breaking things. It's not just let's break things. There's kind of way to make the code actually easy to consume as a reading content. Okay, so this is actual post. So what I want actual post to be equivalent to expected post. That's number one. Number two, I want this storage broker. I want to verify that this guy has been called once. I also want to verify that this guy, right, expected input post, has been also called once. The last thing I want to do, I want to go here and say, okay, the storage broker should have no other calls. So is the logging broker. So is the time broker. Done. Time for you to ask me any questions you want. I threw that, by the way, this code that I just wrote, there's at least, and I'm telling you this in all honesty, there's at least 10 to 15 patterns in this code. It looks simple because we mushed up the patterns, guys. Like in here, for instance, there's something that we call dereferencing, right? What is that? We're basically going and saying, give me a copy of this and take away, right? This is the mocking pattern in testing. That's you taking in a dependency that's injected into your service and you're mocking its behavior. So if you go into a service in here, basically we go and say, when we instantiate our service, our post service, we're using the dependency injection pattern. What that means is that anything that the service needs from outside of the service, something that the service doesn't do internally, is being passed in through a contract. So we're picking up that dependency injection and we're creating mocks so we can control the behavior of how the service operates, right? And then in here, we're basically using this guy here is not comparing references, it's comparing values to each other. So even if this actual post had a completely different reference than expected post, which it does, because we deep cloned in here, it has a completely different reference. It'll know how to, the pattern here, for instance, is basically verifies that nobody can just go into your method and say call a select all. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, okay, question time. Anything at all that you find in here that needs, hmm,
So okay, so you did mention something about the date reference. So how does it know that the actual post, knows that it's actually equal if the actual post doesn't also have a default? I mean, if that makes sense.
because they have the same properties, right? They have the same values, but they don't have the same reference.
Mm,
So they're pointing to
okay.
do different addresses in memory, which is okay. That's how it's gonna be in the real life. When
Yeah.
you pass into an app broker, it's gonna give you back a completely different object coming from the database. But they have the same properties, and that's what we care about.
Okay. So this one then.
Mm.
Can you tell me the story behind that?
The given when then?
The
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So this is basically this is again another try nature, another three and three and three in development. This here, you're setting up the variables that you're gonna need for your test, and then
Mm,
you're executing the test, you're running the actual, and then you're verifying that this function behaved the way that you expected. Some engineers, some software development engineers, they use different terminology. They say assert, act, and then sorry, arrange, act, assert.
oh yeah,
Arrange,
yeah,
act,
yeah,
assert. It's very
yeah,
hard to remember and it's very far
yeah.
away from the business language. The business language say, given I am an engineer, when I use the service, I should be able to blah, blah, blah. Much easier to remember It's much easier to kind of comprehend.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Mm.
I think it's pretty straightforward as it stands, but I feel like I would need to like
Yeah,
give it a shot in
until you
myself.
write it, and you will
Yeah,
write one shortly. You will write
yeah,
one very shortly. So okay, so this guy here technically should fail, right? So let me just make sure
yeah.
that everything, yeah. So let me go in here, and I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna run my tests. This guy should fail, meaning that a failing test, will be the main motive and driver for us to write code. And the code that you need to write should be just enough to make the test pass. Sometimes people overkill it. They go and say, let me handle the exceptions. I didn't ask you to handle exceptions. I just told you make the test green. That's all, right? So anyway, this guy here is going and saying this method or operation is not implemented, right? That means
Mhm.
I tried to actually access this method, and what I got is that this method is not ready. Now it's your turn, my friend, to pick up this branch and make it pass. Go for it. Have fun.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I would still need to create a new branch, right, for this one.
No, no, you just need to pull this branch that I just created.
Oh, okay.
Mm,
And it would be the foundation.
mm.
Let's see if I can find it.
There you are. You're gonna need to do a fetch, but if you type in there, yeah, if you type foundations, you should be able to see. Yeah, there is
Post.
foundations. No,
No,
this
this
is,
would be the user.
yeah, you have this is Mahdi. You do a fetch. So open up the other, do you see that 0/0? Just click on that guy and just select fetch.
All
Yep.
right. Yeah.
Now try again and try to get the remotes. Type in, yeah, foundation post remove. Do you see it?
Yep.
Yep, let's go.
All right.
Okay.
The sync in just in case.
Yeah, let's do it. Yep.
All right. So services foundation post. Oh, actually, we would need to build all the tests first, right?
Yeah, first thing you have to run the tests.
Tests. Got it. It's built.
All right.
Still taking this time.
So you got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just, when it gets stuck like this, I just go to the command line. I write .NET test, or sometimes I just end the test and rebuild. Let's give it just one more minute, just one tiny minute, and then let's try this again. Hopefully it'll work this time. Hmm. Yeah, so go to tests and kind of end that process. If you click on the test menu at the top,
Test menu.
Yeah, is there an end test in here? There isn't. Okay, just open up your go to tools and then go to the NuGet package manager and then package manager console. This is not really a package manager thing, but it's a lot easier way to kick off tests. Just type in .NET test. That's all. Yep. I hope it doesn't conflict with the currently
Yeah.
running process.
Maybe I can stop the process and then do it from.
Yeah, let's try to shut down Visual Studio and open it back up. Maybe it got stuck or something. Sometimes it does some weird things. It happens with me all the time. You know, sometimes it just freaks out. You updated Visual Studio, right? You have the latest one, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Okay,
did.
perfect. Okay, sounds good. All right. All right, here we go.
Just wait for this to load. Test.
Okay. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Yep.
Okay. 1 second. Delete. What that
hmm
means.
Okay, so it looks like it says it's being used by another person or process. So that means the other process is still running from before. What happens when you open up your Test Explorer? The tap on the yeah, that guy. Yep. Oh man, it's still kind of trying. Um,
Yeah. And there's
hmm.
usually a background process for that, but trying to identify which one to
Yeah,
like force
yeah,
to shut it down.
yeah. You can try to kind of kill the Visual Studio process itself. Like you can kind of kill the process itself. Control Shift Escape. It will show you the task manager, and then just
Yeah.
find out Visual Studio and just shut it down completely. Give it a shot.
All right. 1 second. Just look for it. There it is.
All right,
All
it's
right.
dead. What did you do, Ricardo? You choked it. All right. Okay, let's put it back up and let's revive this thing. Let's bring it back up and see what happens. All right. Yep. Don't forget to share your screen.
Yeah.
Good.
Taking a little while to open here.
It's taking sweet time. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Loading. Share screen.
right?
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Let me just go and see.
You gonna try it UI again? Okay, let's do it. Let's give it a shot.
Well, I'm just
Uh-oh.
trying to see if
Yeah.
it's not running. Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you try to run it this time from the UI, just
The
for
UI.
funsies? Yeah,
All right.
and if it doesn't work, we'll kill it again. No problem. Let's do that.
Run out test.
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes. Oh, there it goes.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
sometimes it gets buggy. Okay, so
yeah.
here we go. So we have a failing test. Let's double click on that test. If you double click whatever you, so expand it first, and then reach out to the one that's actually failing. Yeah, keep expanding until it doesn't have any tree. Yep, double click on that guy. All right, perfect. It's not opening when you double click on it. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's what I do normally. When you have a failing test like this, I basically start reading, just see what's required. It looks like you know what it's trying to do, right? There's two dependency calls in here. And then what I do is that I right click on the function call in the win section and I just say go to implementation. I see a lot of people going around looking for the files. That's bad. So yeah, right click and then go to implementation.
Oh, I know there was a shortcut for that.
Yeah,
Control F12.
I
Yeah.
think it's Control F12. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good to practice these shortcuts.
There
Yep.
you go. There you go. So let's make this happen. Let's see if we can make this work. So what's the first thing we need to do, Ricardo?
Um, we would need to find the post first.
Let's find the
See.
post. So we're
Yeah.
gonna need select by ID, right? Let's do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it would be, let's see, post.
Mhm.
Um,
So here's a nice name for it. Call it maybe post. Maybe post because we don't know if it's gonna come in as a real
yeah,
post or it doesn't maybe exist. So this is maybe a post. I learned that from a bunch of people that were teaching me Scala. You know, I liked it a lot. You know, the maybe post, maybe it's there, maybe it's not. I don't know. Let's see.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Select post by desync, and it would be in a wait. So,
hmm
and let's do this.
Take the dot down with it.
The
Take
dot,
that yeah, the period. Go take it down with it.
and then post.
Nice. And then what do we do?
So,
Hmm.
I know, seeing from the past videos, I know that we usually would categorize these exceptions and stuff that I prefer. Now, I guess it would be better to just
Just happy
maybe
path.
a
Yeah.
happy path. Yeah,
Yeah. It
exactly.
didn't ask for anything. It just says delete it. Assume the
Yeah.
world is a perfect place. Okay.
This AI is dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. This AI is making you do things you may or may not need. That's true.
I
Right.
mean, yeah, if maybe post is not null,
Nope, you don't
then
need that because there is no case in the test that says check for null. There isn't. It didn't ask for it. All it asked for, all it's asking for is that you make these two calls. That's it.
right,
When you
happy
say,
path.
yeah, when you say if maybe is null, that means you need two tests. Every time you see an if statement, that means you need two tests. Let's go.
So be deleted post, right?
Yep, yep.
And then we'll wait
Mm-hmm.
this dot broker
Sorry, broker. That's
stars
right.
start and then dot delete post and sync the maybe post.
That's right.
And return the post.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, wouldn't be better if we call it remove post? No, right? Delete
No,
post is fine.
because you're deleting. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right. Storage.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And to be honest with you, we don't have to call it anything. We could just say return await this dot storage broker dot deleted delete post. What do you think about that?
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Just this. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, let me just do it here. Split those guys. Got some lines.
Mm-hmm.
And sure. just making sure the
Okay.
spaces are there.
Yeah, we have a goal. Let's do it. Let's run and see if that makes the test pass.
Alright.
Yeah, you see that test explorer on the left side? Just click on that tab. Yeah, that guy right there, and then run all of them.
I'll just run out. Okay.
Yeah, always run all the tests. Always. Because your changes may have broken something else. And we will run into this situation where a simple change that you're making will break some other things, right?
Mm,
So here we go. Oh no. Did it get no, it's not
yeah.
stuck. Okay. Okay, here we
We're
go.
good. We're good. Ah.
Perfect. It passed, right?
Yep. And I'm guessing this would where we do this, right?
Yep, that's where you go and put in the test name.
And
Yep,
then a pass.
a pass. And then do that drop down and say committal and push. Normally, I would tell you commit all because you're still gonna have to write a failing test, but I'm gonna do this one because this is just the first time you and I kind of, still trying to see the lay of the land, kind of thing.
Mm,
So here's the deal, my friend. This is basically the part, this is basically our session today. I just wanted to show you a simple happy path. I'm writing a failing test, and then you make it pass. Tomorrow, I will walk you through you writing a failing test, and then I will make it pass, right? What do you think is going to be our next test?
okay. If the post exists.
There's the post success, but the first thing is that you want to validate that your input is valid structurally. So we're passing in an ID, right? If this
Right.
ID is
Yeah.
invalid, we shouldn't have to pay a price to go all the way to the database to ask it whether it has a post that corresponds to an invalid ID in the first place. See what I'm
Okay.
saying? So
Yeah.
so there's the validation part. It starts like this. You write in the happy path and then the validation for all the inputs and then validation for potential returns. And then at the very end, you handle all the potential exceptions. So these are three levels that you and I are going to go through. And then just feel free to kind of, go through just the intricacies or the details in the engineering standard when it comes to found because this is you starting to write foundation service. This is you going and saying, I want to write the actual foundation primitive operations. And these operations are the operations that will help me kind of understand, build an industrial software, industrial proper software. So just read all I want you to do is just, after this session, just read about these services. See, there's validation, processing, integration.
Mm,
When you are writing tests, you literally do the exact same thing. You go and say, what is my validations? Let me fix my processing, validate incoming that, is not null or any of that. And then the integration, which is basically handling all these exceptions. Go through this, you'll see a whole world of standardization around services. And, I look forward to our next session. Do you feel this was a little bit useful? This little practice here. See, this is how I write
mhm,
software all over the place. I don't just,
yeah.
go in and just jam in code and it may or may not work. Every commit matters. Who is making the commit? They pass it over and it comes back. That's called pair programming meeting test-driven development. So it's not just pair programming because you'll see some teams go and say, okay, I write a failing test and I make it pass, and then you write a failing test and make it pass. I don't like that because the other person that's working with you needs to also be engaged. So we're trying to make the period of time where each and every one of us is working on a piece of code really short so you don't lose the other guy, right? The other guy needs to kind of pick up the keyboard. I've seen also pair programming sessions where people like just completely get disconnected because they're not writing code, they're just looking at you writing code. I'm like, okay, we can fix this problem. We can ping pong. We can just go back and forth like that. So anyway, thank you so much for showing up today. I promise you, it's gonna get a lot faster. Like within 30 minutes session like this, we will be able to kind of burn through two or three, maybe four tests, maybe write an entire foundation service. Do you have anything else before we wrap up for this one?
No, I think I'm good
You
for today.
good?
This was actually pretty good. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you so very much, and I'll connect with you tomorrow, and we'll build the social media thing. And thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in another video.